January sales comes, it goes. Summer sales starts, summer goes. And then you're back to the same. And it was a cycle, year after year, time after time, month after month. And I really wanted to change my life. But ladies and gents, today I want to share with you what are the two main reasons as to why people aren't economically successful. And please remember, when I'm speaking about economical success, I'm not speaking about, income like, 5,000 or 20,000 kroners a month, or even 50,000 kroners a month. That's okay. But I'm really speaking about people that make a lot of income, maybe in the regions of hundreds of thousands of kroners, 500,000 kroners a month. Why aren't most people financially, economically successful? I'll tell you why. Because number one, they don't know what to do. And number two, they don't know how to do it. That's the reason. When you take a look at any reason as to why someone isn't financially or economically successful, is because number one, they don't know what to do, and number two, they don't know how to do it. Do you all agree with me? If they knew what to do and how to do it, they would already be in where they want to go. Yes or no? Yes. And that's the reality today for most people. And that was my reality. And this was me when I was working long hours, really tired of my life, really wanted to make a change. And the same way someone invited you down to ACN is the same way someone once showed me ACN. And they said, Ahmed, there's something I need to show you. It's about making money. And the very first time I came to take a look at an ACN presentation, here's what really stood out to me, because I studied business at university. So I was already familiar with a few things that today, a business, 80% of businesses, companies that start up go bust within 5 years. 80% don't last more than 5 years. And here's what's crazy, 95% don't last 10 years. Think about that. ACN's been around for 2.5 decades. Now, growing up, I was told, respect your elders. Is there anyone under the age of 26 in this room? By raising hands. Respect your elders. ACN's older than you, right? Think about that. That's what's crazy. It's been around for 2.5, going on 3 decades. Today established in 26 different countries around the world with a revenue of 5 billion over the last 4 years in partnership with many, many companies around the world. So when I sat there for the very first time, the first thing that came on my mind is, I know this is real. Now I just have to get through myself. I know this works. There's no way that there's hundreds, in fact 400 people in this room today. There's no way that they're going to be here because we have nothing better to do on this Saturday. Can we agree with that statement? There's clearly something happening. So you just have to ask yourself, why not you? And can we all agree, ladies and gents, if someone else has done it, why can't you do it? And there's been thousands of thousands of thousands of success stories documented in ACN. And now you've got to ask yourself, why not you? So here's what I did. I started working. I started working in my ACN business completely part-time. And I was doing this business on a part-time basis whilst I was working full-time as a manager in my job. I introduced a few friends to the business. And we were doing meetings in a home. We were doing trainings. And one thing I can tell you, ladies and gents, I promise you, people don't follow people with money. But people follow people with vision. In this picture, I wasn't even making money in ACN. I was just an average individual, a normal person. I was telling people I'm excited, I'm so optimistic about the future, I've never felt so excited, and I was just being real with everyone. This is the opportunity and this is where we can go. And I was showing them all the previous success stories before me. And people started buying into that vision. Look, let me tell you something. Who remembers the days when you go to the wall and your house phone was connected to the wall? Who remembers those days, right? The house phone was connected to the wall. So you had to stand or sit in that one place to be on the phone. Who remembers those days? And then it took one day someone to say, man, I'm sick of this. I want to go in the kitchen and use my phone. Someone said that, someone had that vision. And then what happens? Mobile phones came in. Who remembers mobile phones when they were this big? Right? When someone gets hurt and they were like, what happened? What did the murderer use? Well, he killed them with the mobile phone, hit them in the head, right? It was this big, right? You had to carry a mobile phone with 2 hands, hello, right? Think about this, right? And you had those long antennas, who remembers those days? And you had to signal it in a certain place. Some places around the house, it didn't work. You need to go outside the window and stick your head out. Hello? Who remembers those days, right? And then what happened? Look at where mobile phones is today. Do you know a smartphone today has 248 times more functionality than a computer did in the 1980s? Think about that. Just an iPhone. Forget the computer. Just an iPhone. The point I'm trying to make, ladies and gents, someone had that vision. Think about this. Who remembers when we used, did you guys have Blockbusters here? Blockbusters, who knows Blockbusters? Do you guys remember when videos and DVDs and when you wanted to have a movie, you go to a store and you rent the cassette? Who remembers those days, right? Who remembers the cassette that you put into a Walkman and sometimes the wires get untangled and you take it out and you have to untangle it, right? And you have to change it to the other side so you can listen to the rest of the track. Who remembers those days, right? Now think about where music is today. Today is all online, streamed. You can download it from your phone, iTunes. Completely streamlined the world and changed it. You know why? Someone had the vision to take us from where we were to where we are today. So the point I'm trying to make, ladies and gents, people don't follow people with money, but people follow someone with vision, someone that has a plan. Listen to me carefully. We plan our holidays, we plan our weekends, we plan everything, but we don't plan our financial futures. We don't plan our lives, but we plan everything else. Think about that. So the point I'm trying to make, what you have to do, ladies and gentlemen, you have to have vision. And as time went on, our organization started growing. And when I became a senior vice president, years later, this was our team. We had a huge organization. You see, the one thing I want to share with you, ladies and gents, nothing worth having comes easy. Is this going to be easy? No, I promise you, I'll be the first to tell you. It's going to be one of the hardest things you've done, but it's going to be absolutely worth it. It's going to take time, but listen to me carefully. Your old life, your new life is going to cost you your old one. Does that make sense? If you want a new life, you've got to sacrifice your old one. If doing what you're doing would have get you what you wanted, you would have been there already. Think about your life the last 5 years. And listen to me carefully. I'm not selling you money. Listen, ACN, you can make a lot of money. I've made tens of millions with this opportunity in Kronos. I've done it already. I'm not here to sell you money. I'm here to sell you time. Listen to me carefully. The number one currency in the world today isn't the pound, the euro, the krona, the dollar. The number one currency in the world today is time. You can lose 10 million kronas and make it back again, but you can never get back time. You will never go back to the age you was last year. So what's the biggest asset we have? The biggest asset we have today is time. Listen to me. Every day you are given 86,000 seconds. Every day. And at the end, at 12 o'clock, it resets. You cannot deposit and carry over the seconds you didn't use. So the number one asset, the number one commodity is time. So don't think about how much money you have, but think about how much free time you have. How much free time do you have to take your kids to the practice they have? How much free time do you have to go on the vacations you wanted to go, or have that leisurely breakfast or lunch or dinner with your family? How much free time you have is what you've got to ask yourself, and not just how much money you have in the bank. And that's the vision you have to have. Ladies and gents, everything big started small. Listen to me, yesterday at the leadership we had, I was showing a group of leaders Amazon in 1999. When Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, when he was operating out of one office and he was doing all the deliveries in that one office, I was showing the leaders. And I said, this is where Amazon started. It started small. Do you know today they are worth $232 billion? Now here's one thing I want to do. Compare what I'm about to tell you to ACN. Today, every successful company today has 3 things in common. Here's the 3 things. Number 1, they are online. Number 2, their business is replicatable and scalable by the average person. Number 3, they earn passive or residual income month after month, year after year, also known as cash flow. Those are the 3 things any company has in common. And I promise you, if you have a business today that doesn't have those 3 things, you have no business. I guarantee you that, in fact. So let's do a comparison. Take a look at the world's largest online retailer, is Amazon. Where do they operate? Number 1, online. Number 2, the average person can sell on Amazon. It's replicatable, scalable by the average person. It's people that scale Amazon. And number three, they get paid passive income every time a transaction takes place on their website, making Jeff Bezos the richest man in the world. Don't take my word for it. Take a look at companies like Uber. Uber, the world's largest taxi company in 6 years. How long has Norwegian taxis been around? Think about it. Before our parents were born, yes or no? Before our lifetime. But why is Uber the #1 taxi company in the world today? You know why? They're online. Number two, the average person can become an Uber driver. Their business is scaled through people. And number three, it pays them passive income. Every time someone in Uber does a journey, the Uber owners make 20 to 30% of that journey that they did not even do. Think about the world's largest real estate company, Airbnb. Where do they operate? Online. The average person can rent their home there. Every time a house is rented, they earn residual income month after month, year after year. Everything today is online. The world's largest movie company, Netflix, online. They're worth 13.6 billion, and they've only been around 7 years. Think about it. What do we do in ACN? Number one, you have an online business. Number two, your business is scalable by the average person, no matter where you go in the 26 countries we operate. Number three, it pays your passive residual income off of the essential services people are already using month after month, year after year. That's how I've been able to build a business of tens of thousands of people. And I promise you, it's not rocket science. It's a simple business, but it's not easy. It's simple to understand, but the process is, because you're dealing with people, it's going to be hard. Does that make sense to everyone? And that's the power of what it is that we do. So ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to do. Everything big started small. So what I want you to think about, before you think about the tens of thousands of kronas on a monthly basis, what would your life be like if you were just making 2,000 kronas a month? Just think about this. If you were just making 2,000 kronas a month, what would your life be like? Now, it might not be a lot of money, right? That's like 200 pounds. It might not be a lot of money. But just if you're making 2,000 kronas a month, if you made 2,000 kronas a month, a year you've got 24,000 kronas. Now, walk with me for a second. If you earned that over a 40-year period, that's 960,000 kronas you would have. That's money you did not have. And what did you do? Just acquire a few customers. Now, I was doing my research and I was looking at other cities in Norway. But do you know, with that additional 960,000 kronas, just doing this business completely part-time, think about this. That's the house you can buy in Norway, on the coastlines. I researched it this morning. Think about that. That's a property you didn't even have. That's the power of residual income. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what about if you were making 4,000 kronas a month? You know how much you would make in 40 years? 1.9 million kronas you didn't have. What about if you were making 800? What about if you were making, 8,000? What about if you were making 16,000? What about you were making 20,000, 30,000, 50,000 kronas a month? I promise you, there's no limit to how much you can build this business. So let's move on. Here's what I want to speak about. Why ACN and the timing we are in right now? Well, number one, everything today, the world has never ever been this small. And when you take a look at ACN, we're not slowing down. We are globally expanding around the world. Last year, September, we launched our 26th country in Colombia. What our plan is to go to every single country. In fact, in the next 10 years, our goal is to be in an additional 10 to 20 new countries. And what you have to have your eyes on today, when you look at the continent of Asia, Asia alone today has 4 billion people in Asia alone. The world's largest population is where? China. 1.6 billion people live in China. We are not even in China yet. Think about this, ladies and gents. The second largest population in the world, India. 1.3 billion people. We aren't even in India yet. Imagine when we launch those countries, what could your business look like? But I'm telling you, everything is just a network. There's a gentleman by the name of Fringris Corinthi. Here's what he said. He said he spoke about something called the 6 degrees of separation. And here's what he said. He said, between you and anyone in any part of the world, there are 6 people. Which means, let's say you know someone that knows someone, that knows someone, that knows someone, you can meet someone completely at the other side of the world between 6 people, no word of a lie. I was flying on a plane, right? And I was at the airport. So I was at, the security place where you gotta take your belt off and stuff. So I went there, I was taking off my belt, my watch, just putting everything down, about to go through the metal detector, and there was a gentleman that stopped me. He said, "Hey, Ahmed, how are you?" He said, "Do you know me?" I said, "No." Well, I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" Like, "Hey," right? I'm like, "No, I don't know you." He said, "I'm in your team in ACN." I said, "Really? Wow, hey, nice to meet you." Think about that. Your network can grow to people you don't even know. And that's the power of this type of a business. So think about later on when ACN expands into further countries, Far East Asia, in Africa, more countries in Europe, like Eastern Europe. We're not in many Eastern European countries. Imagine when we do. At the moment, we are in 18 countries in Europe. We're in 2 countries in North America, 2 countries in Central and South America, 2 countries in the Pacific, and 2 countries in Far East Asia. Imagine when we're all over the globe. And you can literally do your business at any corner, any country, any peninsula in the world. Where could you be? But the reality, ladies and gentlemen, by then, you want to take advantage of everything which is happening right now. Because here's the reality. The world, everything's going online. The world has never been this small. When you take a look at email accounts today, there are 4 billion email accounts. Every day there are 200 billion WhatsApp messages sent. Think about that for a moment. Today, when you take a look at YouTube, there are billions upon billions of videos on that online platform. Everything that we used to do fully before is all online. Do you know today most TV is watched online? Most news coverage is received online. Do you know that? Today, it's rare to find people that wait for the 6 o'clock news. If they get the alert on their phone. That is where the world is going. So why not take advantage of it? Here's the reality, ladies and gents. Machines are replacing human beings. Tell me I'm wrong. You see, when I landed in Oslo, I went to a machine, I put my passport there, it scanned my face, and it let me through. But when you take a look 10 years ago, that was a person that was doing that job. That person that was doing that job was replaced by a human being, by a machine. And do you know when they replaced that person? They didn't care if they had a family that was depending on that job. They didn't care if they had a mortgage for their home. They didn't care if they had outstanding car finance payments. They didn't care about none of that. They replaced them, you know why? The machines were more convenient than them. I promise you, no matter how much your job is paying you, you better believe that your employer is looking for a way to always cut down costs. And what's the biggest cost that companies have? Marketing and people. So if you can cut down people, you cut down a lot of money. So that salary that they are paying you, they are looking for a way to replace you by building a machine one time. And here's why machines are better. Machines don't have family problems. Machines don't show up to work late. Machines don't get pregnant or impregnate. Right? Machines don't have inconsistencies. They don't need toilet breaks. They don't have mood swings that we do. So an employer would rather build a machine to replace people. Go to any McDonald's today. Think about this. There are machines you can order, yes or no. Go to any airport terminal, banks. When you take a look, everything today is going machinery. And this is why you need to be in the online space. You cannot afford to miss being in this online space. I promise you, ladies and gents. And so here's the thing I want to speak to you guys about. What's your environment doing to you? The reality, ladies and gents, some of you, I know you might have all the money you need. And I know some of you might be struggling with time. I know some of you is vice versa. You might, you might not have money, but you might have time. And I know some of you are just sick and tired of doing what you're doing. You might want to grow. You might want to become someone. I tell people all the time, listen to me carefully. Success is a responsibility. If your money only changes you and your family's life, you should not have that money. Give it to someone else that will make an impact. Does that make sense to everyone? You impact other people. So you might be a person that you just feel like you're not growing. And listen to me, if you are not growing, you are dying. You've got to ask yourself, what's your reason why? What is it that you want to do? What is it that you want this business to do for you and your family? You see, ladies and gents, you've got to have vision. Because today, when you take a look, honestly, I could not believe this. When you take a look at what we have with Ice Mobile today, just walk with me for a second. Today, the population of Norway is 5.3 million people live in Norway. Now, 4.7 million people out of the 5.3 million use a mobile phone. Norway today is one of the most technologically advanced countries in Europe. And for those of you that are from Denmark or Sweden, there are 20 million people in Scandinavia. Think about this. Look at the market opportunity you have. You know what's crazy? When you take a look at our market opportunity with Ice Mobile, it's incredible. You know why? Only 3% of people use Ice Mobile. So let me give you numbers. If there are 4.7 million mobile phone users and Ice Mobile only has 3% market share, that's only 141,000 people use Ice Mobile. Only 141,000. Ladies and gents, walk with me for a moment. You have another 4.5 million other people to speak to about your product. Think about the opportunity. That means you speak to 100 people, 97 will have no idea what Ice Mobile is. They'll probably think, hey, boy, you're trying to sell me ice, dude, I'm okay. You know, it's already cold as it is. Think about it, right? They won't know what you're talking about when you say Ice Mobile. And that's the opportunity you have. Now, why Ice Mobile? Number one of the cheapest providers on the market. You know how incredible it is that today, if a parent gets a service, their kids get a free service. If you get 5 customers, you get paid 3,500 kronas. Imagine what you can do with that. Listen to me carefully. When I started ACN, do you know what services we had in the UK? I'll name you one, the one that we sold the most. We had something called a video phone in 2013. Now back then there was no FaceTime. FaceTime was just, it didn't even exist in 2013. So think about this. So we were selling these video phones. That was our opportunity. So we'll present to someone and we're like, let me show you how to make money. Do you know someone that wants to communicate with one another by video? Everyone's like, hell yes, absolutely. And we'll show them this video phone. You know how much the video phone costs? The video phone cost 1,100 kronas just for the video phone. Now on a monthly basis, the customer had to pay 200 kronas for the service. Now let me tell you, so I had a video phone, right? Now what I now have to do, if I want to use that video phone to make it any useful in any sense, I had to sell another video phone to the person I want to video. So the other person had to buy the other video phone. And they had to pay 1,100 kronas and 200 kronas a month. And that way we can communicate via our video phones, because FaceTime didn't exist. And you know what's crazy? Within our first year in business, we put through over 10,000 video phone customers. And if we can build vision on that, what can you do with Ice Mobile? Listen to me carefully. You don't need to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. You don't want to be a person that knows many, many things but is not great at anything. All you need is one service that works, that's consistent, that you can sell and that you can make money. And that is what we have with Ice Mobile. Can you guys imagine when we take this company to having 20% market share? Can you guys imagine? Imagine when Ice Mobile has 20% market share. You know the only way they can get to 20% market share, here's what's crazy. It has to come through you. So what that means, you can override and be the beneficiary of everything which is about to come. You can be the inheritant of everything which is about to come. Walk with me for a second, because some of you might not even understand what I'm saying here. Think about a long time ago in 1890s, when cars didn't exist. In the 1880s, cars didn't exist. So one day there was a man called Henry Ford. He said, I am going to make the first automobile. Because back then everyone had horses, right? So he made a car. The cars at the time only traveled at 4 miles an hour. 4 miles. So let me tell you, I'm faster than the car. Let me see where I'm going with this. I'm faster than the car at that pace. They went 4 miles an hour. They took so much gasoline and they took so much space. People looked at those cars and they said, who would want to drive this thing? I have a horse. What kind of idiot? Man, let me get back on my horse. And people back then, you know how today people have different color cars? People had different color horses. And those who had the white horses were more richer than those who had the dark horses. Just think about where the world was. Now let me ask you a question, ladies and gents. Based on one person's vision, if today you saw someone having a horse, imagine you're on the highway. Name me a highway in Oslo, a highway. Name me a highway. What's it called? E6. E6. So imagine you're on the E6, you're driving, and you see someone on a horse. Right? On the E6. What would you think? What the hell are they doing? But if you went back 120 years ago, that was completely normal. But where did that start from? Someone's vision. And that person, Henry Ford, became the biggest beneficiary of everything that came in the car industry. You know why? He got in first. He got in first. So today he overrides, and he's the biggest benefactor of everything that came, he inherited. Today, this is why Ford is the #1 distributor, and they see and own nearly 20% of the entire car makers industry. Why? They started first. So imagine today you'll see ICE Mobile at 3% market share. Imagine when it's at 20. Imagine when it's at 30. Imagine it's at 40 and 50. I promise you, it's going to happen with or without you. My question to you is, are you going to watch it go by and let someone else make the money, or is it going to be you that's going to take advantage and be the beneficiary of everything which is to come? That is the opportunity you guys have with ICE Mobile. Ladies and gents, I want to close with, the world is built on vision. It's all about vision. Listen to me carefully. Anyone that has done anything great in the world had a vision. Think about someone like Oprah Winfrey. She was told that you're not fit for television. You're not good enough to be on TV. But today, she's the richest, one of the richest women on this planet today. She's a multi-billionaire. But she was told, you are not fit for TV. Think about people like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, again, he was fired from Apple for being incompetent. The company almost got bankrupt in the 70s and the 80s. They got rid of him. He went back to that company, and with his vision, he built it to be the most successful company in the world. Do you know, I was reading something which was very, very interesting. Do you know, Pixar started because of Steve Jobs. The first Toy Story movie was developed by Apple. Think about it. They developed anything to do with Pixar. They override and own the rights to it. That's just crazy. And today, they're the first company to be valued at over $1 trillion. First company in the history of the world to be valued at $1 trillion. Ladies and gents, work with me for a moment. How many people have an iPhone by raise of hands? Or use some type of Apple product? Look around the room. That started from one person's vision. Take a look at someone like Michael Jordan. 3,000 shots he was trusted with, and he missed them. 9,000 shots. Lost 300 games, 26 times trusted to take the winning shot, and he missed. When he was starting out to be a basketball player, they said, you are too short, too skinny. And today, when I say basketball, what do you think about Michael Jordan? Let me ask you a question. If I say your name, what do people think about? Listen to me carefully. If I say Apple, you think about Steve Jobs. If I say Uber, or I say Deliveroo, you think about Will Shu. If I say, any company, if I say, I don't know, Microsoft, you think about Bill Gates. If I say basketball, you think about Michael Jordan. If I say football, you think about Ronaldo, Messi, and all the other great players. If I say your name, what do people think about? Think about someone like Ed Sheeran, right? Or Walt Disney. Walt Disney, in 1923, right? They were operating out of a garage. People told him, you lack imagination. Look at how big Walt Disney is. Today they are remaking new movies such as The Aladdin, The Lion King. Because of what? Because of one person's vision. Look at someone like Ed Sheeran. This guy used to stand in the streets of London, buskering, and people would drop money and give him some money on the streets of London. Do you know today he sells out stadiums of 90,000 plus people? He did a concert once, I think it was in Berlin, Germany. He sold out a stadium of 90,000 people, and they said, please, can you do another show? It sold out again the second day. Then they said, can you do another show? 5 days in a row, those shows sold out 90,000 people each time. And they said, can you do 7 days? He said, no, my throat, I'll lose my throat if I do 7 days. 5 days back to back. Ladies and gents, let me ask you a question. How many people will come if you did a show? Think about this. You probably got to give up free food and convince people to come over to your party. There's going to be free food, come over, right? So my question to you is, why not you? Why not you? What's stopping you? All you have to have is vision. I promise you, when I started ACN, this was my car. And I remember going to meetings in this car, showing people the ACN vision. And then, do you know what I used to do? I used to park this car around the corner just so people don't see. Literally. And after the meeting's done, I would wait for everyone to leave. Because imagine, I'm presenting ACN, but I'm driving this car. So at the end of the meeting, I'll wait for everyone to leave. Then I'll look around. I'll go all the way around the corner where my car is parked, and I'll get in my car and drive off. Because I was embarrassed of the car that I was driving. But I promise you, where you start doesn't have to mean where you finish. But today, these are the cars that I've owned just because of ACN. Every single one of these cars. I don't say this to brag. Honestly, I'm not showing you this to be materialistic. Because you know what's the most important thing for me? Is freedom. ACN has allowed me to see places in the world that I would have never imagined. My son, he's 1 year and 1 month. 1 year and 1 month. He's been to 4 countries already because of ACN. By the time he's 15, my wife and I, what we're planning to do is we're planning that he goes to 30, 40 countries that he doesn't even know about. And that's what's incredible. We've been able to travel the world, live an unbelievable lifestyle because of this opportunity and because of residual income. Having a business today that has no inventory. We don't have staff, no overheads, no liabilities. I can do my phone on a laptop, on a mobile phone, and I can speak to anyone at any time, in any restaurant, any coffee shop, any airport terminal, any plane, any train. Isn't that something? And that's the beauty of residual income. But ladies and gents, the next story is you. Why not you? Here's one thing I'm going to encourage every single one of you to do. In the United Kingdom, on the 31st of August, we have our co-founder of our company, Mr. Mike Coopers, is going to be in London. He's the co-founder of ACN. And we are also going to have another gentleman who's a senior vice president and a Circle of Champions member, Mr. James Adler. They are going to be our 2 guest speakers in London on the 31st of August. We will have a Friday night leadership as well on the 30th of August, which is going to be incredible. My encouragement to you is, this event, we are going to have around 3,500 people there. It's going to be a mini international convention. I promise you, it's going to be incredible. I would encourage you, if you are serious about this business, you want this business to grow for you, and you want your people to see the bigger vision of ACN, I would honestly encourage you to come to this event. I know it's in London. I know you're going to have to make sacrifices. I know you're going to be traveling. I know you're going to have to pay some money and so on. But if I can give you one piece of advice, honestly, don't miss this event. Travel down to this event. Bring your teams with you. We're going to have people from all over Europe there, and I promise you, it's going to be absolutely incredible. I'm telling you. I know there are many, many leaders already coming, and I cannot wait to spend time with you guys in London. Have a great weekend. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Don't miss this event. The tickets right now are £30. I believe that's 300 kroners in Norwegian. But you're going to have a weekend. Just think about it. Imagine listening to one of the owners of our company that started this business in 1993 with 26 years experience and pouring into you to teach you how you can do the same. I promise you it's going to be absolutely life-changing. So ladies and gents, in my closing, one thing I want to share with you is that no one average today changes the world. People that change the world are people that make a decision and they keep on keeping on. I promise you when I say, your own friends and family will probably give you an opinion about ACN. Listen to me carefully. Everyone has an opinion, but no one has the solution. Does that make sense? People will tell you it doesn't work. People will tell you it's this and it's that. Don't do it. I'm telling you, my own father told me this. I remember when I started ACN, my father, said to me, don't do this, son. I did this back in the day. These things don't work. You're not going to make money from these things. It's this and it's that. My own father told me this. And every single time, I remember 6 months went by. And when I would walk in the house, he would ridicule me. And he'll tell me, so son, have you made any money yet? Where is the money? I am waiting for the money. You are going to be a millionaire. I'm still going to work. You know, no money, right? And he would make fun of me, right? But that did not stop me. I swear, no word of a lie. You know, today, like recently, a few weeks ago, I think like 4 weeks ago, I took both of my parents to Dubai. We had a phenomenal time. We were spending some time just relaxing, chilling out. And as I was in Dubai, right? So we were staying in Jumeirah, you know, where the Burj Al Arab is. It was just incredible, beautiful. And so we were there, we were just hanging out, and we were by the beach. And here's what my father said. You know, we had a son and fatherly conversation, you know, and he was like, you know, son, you know why you are successful? It's because of me. You have my blood. Don't tell me why. Okay? That's what my father said. So he doesn't even remember being negative. So if people are not even going to remember, why would you even care right now? I'm telling you, it's worth paying the price. If not you, someone else is going to do it. And one thing I'll leave you with is that the highest income earner in ACN, especially in Scandinavia, hasn't even started yet. I promise you this. Are they going to be in your team or are they going to be in someone else's team? Imagine what you can do. Imagine the message you can spread. Don't let this go by, because if you don't do it, no problem. Someone will recruit you 5 years later into ACN. And you're going to be like, man, I saw this thing in 2019. I could have been a part of it. Don't let this go by. So ladies and gents, thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute honor spending time with you. God bless you.